We start with our Newsmaker segment and focus on Kansas City, Missouri, and some of the key issues now under consideration. The list is extensive: downtown and its future development, the future of the often discussed convention hotel, what happens at KCI, renovation or rebuilding, a seemingly endless stream of initiative petitions, and an $800 million infrastructure bond issue on the April 4th ballot, and that's just the short list. Here to talk about council activities is 4th District Councilwoman Jolie Justice, serving her first term. Before joining the council, Ms. Justice, an attorney, served 8 years in the Missouri Senate. Jolie Justice, welcome to Ruckus. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Well, you're the head of the council's airport committee, and you must have been somewhat surprised when you read in the Kansas City Star that Governor Brownback and some people in Kansas are talking about an airport in Johnson County.
You know, Mike, for the last year and a half, I've been talking about the airport nonstop, and that is a rumor that I'd been hearing circulate. But what surprised me was the confirmation from Brownback's office that indeed they were looking at it.
Is it unrealistic to think that there will be an airport in Johnson County anytime in the near future?
I think that it is a long shot, to say the least. But one of the things that I want to make sure that everybody understands is airlines really are driving this right now based on what they need for their customers. And they, I think, are not going to be able to wait forever to expand their base. And so one of the things that we have to understand is we need to move forward as a city if we want to make sure that that doesn't become a closer reality.
Well, this is really kind of a break for people in Kansas City, Missouri who want to move forward on the airport, is it not? The fact that there is talk about something going on in Johnson County?
I think that it obviously is a wake-up call and lights a fire under folks who maybe were on the fence. I think that it doesn't obviously answer all of the questions that Kansas Cityans have, and that's one thing we have to do is spend more time making sure the public understands what it is that we need to move forward.
Well, what is your personal preference? A one-terminal, brand-new airport?
You know, it's interesting. When I first accepted this position as airport committee chair, I was a blank slate, and I did not have a preference. I actually asked the mayor at one point not to involve me in anything with the airport because I didn't have a deeply held belief. Now that I've gone through 2 years almost of learning everything there is to know about airport financing and the future of KCI, I am absolutely in favor of a single terminal so that we can have a convenient, modern terminal moving forward.
Columnist Steve Rose, who's going to be on our panel later in the program, wrote a column a few weeks ago saying, why doesn't the city council just go ahead and pass it? Just do it without a public vote. Do you have to have a public vote?
Legally, we do not have to have a public vote, but politics is the art of what's possible, and we have promised the people of Kansas City they will have a vote, and they will have a vote on this.
How soon do you think that vote will take place?
If it were up to me solely, and it clearly is not, I would love to see a vote in November of this year, but I understand that we have a lot of questions that we need to answer to the public, and we need a lot more public engagement before we can get there. You
know, something, Councilwoman, that's always interested me is that people say they like KCI because it's convenient. Is there any reason that a new airport would not be equally convenient?
You know, what's exciting is that the new airport will be, in my opinion, more convenient than what we have now. We are talking about building a Kansas City-sized airport that is going to meet all of the conveniences that we have now. And for those folks who are not having a convenient experience at KCI, if you're flying out early in the morning or on Thursday evenings and you're running into a lot of congestion, you're going to see a more convenient airport.
Let's go through a few other items in a short amount of time that we have left. What about the convention hotel? Is it in progress now? Is it moving forward?
The last update that I received was that we have J.E. Dunn, who is leading the charge, looking at getting the maximum price, and I think they hope to have that done by April, and they are looking forward to possibly a May groundbreaking. So the last update the council received was that that was moving forward.
So it might open in 2018, late in that year, or
you know, I am a journalist and lawyer by training, and so I can't speculate. It's against my nature.
I'm sure you would say that you're confident the infrastructure bond issue will pass on April the 4th, but what if it does not? What happens then? Do the streets, sidewalks go unattended?
Well, no, we're obviously not going to not going to leave things unattended. One of the things that we have a responsibility of doing is maintaining our streets and sidewalks. But what we will be able to do if we do pass this is we'll be able to get ahead of the maintenance schedule. And so I think you'll just see things move slower than what our citizens want if it does not pass.
Some people see you as a prospective future mayor of Kansas City. Do you see yourself in that same light?
You know, Mike, right now I see myself as someone who's going to work my tail off to get this GEO bond passed on April 4th, get a new terminal built at the airport, and then as we get closer to 2019, I'll be able to have that discussion with
Great.
folks.
Thanks very much for coming in. Come back and see us.
Thanks, Mike.
That is Kansas City, Missouri, 4th District Councilwoman Jolie Justice. Now let's meet the panel and start a ruckus.